So, the Zoomfly 6, a poor man's vaporfly, or finally a good training shoe from Nike? Let's find out. So in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Nike Zoomfly 6, as I mentioned earlier. Now, in recent years, the Zoomfly range has gone severely downhill. The Zoomfly 4, 5 were just dreadful shoes, in my honest opinion. I really loved the original Zoomfly back in the day, and then the Flyknit version as well. Absolutely love those shoes. I had multiple pairs, and they were just a real go-to when it came to training and even easy runs as well. So I had high hopes for the Zoomfly 6, especially when Nike had boasted a lot of changes for the better. So yeah, let's get into this. So starting off with the facts and figures, for a UK men's size 9, we're coming in at 265 grams. So kind of around that middle ballpark range. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's a decent weight for a training shoe, but still a little bit heavy. But when you take into consideration the stack height of the shoe, we've got a 42mm stack height at the heel and a 34mm stack height at the forefoot with that 8mm drop. That kind of gives you a reason as to why this shoe is maybe a little bit on the heavier side when you've got 42mm of stack height in the heel. Moving on to the price, this cost me a hefty £154.99. Paid 100% out of my own money, so I can give you this honest review, so there's no bias from Nike in this situation. So I've now done roughly 50 miles in the shoe across different speeds. I did a long run in it, I did some easy runs, did some sessions, tempo, even some sprints and strides in it. So I'm going to give you my likes and dislikes about the shoe, and then also come on to some alternate options that you could use in training if you don't really fancy the Zoomfly 6. But yeah, let's see what I like and dislike about the shoe. Now, as you can probably tell, running shoe reviews are definitely not my cup of tea. They're not my bread and butter. They're not what I'm good at. So coming up with eloquent phrases on what I liked and disliked about the shoe has always been a little bit tricky for me. But starting off with 3 things that I did really like about the shoe. I did find it had a really good lockdown. When I put the shoes on straight away, did my runners knot like I always do, and with the elasticated laces, it just felt like I got a really good lockdown into the shoe. A nice tight heel cup around the back of the heel, and it just felt, yeah, it just felt like it really fitted on my foot quite well. True to size and generally quite good grip as well. So I ran around a park in Essex, different terrains, mud, traily, grass, and a bit boggy in areas, and the grip seemed to hold up pretty well. They've gone very similar with the grip compared to other Zoomfly iterations, which is this kind of main grip on the forefoot and then a couple of like split grippy bits on the heel. They've also introduced this kind of cut out area in the midfoot, which makes no difference to me really if the shoe still performs. One thing that I do like about this shoe is the full length carbon plate. I think it's good to have some options when it comes to adding a carbon plate into training, because otherwise if you don't use your carbon plates in training, then when it comes to race day, that's when calves start to ping, that's when calves start to tear. So it's good to have an option with a carbon plate in for those kind of faster training sessions, and maybe the odd occasional easy run if that's what you like to do. So overall, to recap, the 3 things that I really liked about the shoe were the grip, the lockdown, and just the general comfortability of the shoe. I found it was quite padded and quite comfortable compared to, say, something like that's a little bit more stripped back, like a vaporfly. You always feel like you're going to run quick, but you're never that comfortable in it. You are going to get some comfort from this shoe, which I think is, yeah, it's a nice change from the Zoomfly 5. I felt like it was a bit of a monster on your foot, really. It was a bit boat-like, and I wasn't a huge fan. So moving on to some dislikes about the shoe. To be honest, I didn't actually think it does what it says on the tin. I tried going a little bit quicker on it. It felt quite clunky, felt quite slow, and despite the high stack height, it didn't feel like it was really protecting my legs that much. That could be a completely personal thing, but I found that when I did get up into those faster paces, I was having to still having to work quite hard in the shoe compared to, say, something like a Boston 12 or a Takumi Sen 10 from Adidas, just to give some options there. A real minor thing, the colourway. As a first colourway, you've got to come up with something better than just a classic black and white. It's just so boring, and I'm never really a huge fan of black shoes. And overall, I feel like with Nike, it always feels like they're almost a couple years behind with a lot of their training shoes. It's like every other brand just produces something and then releases it, whereas Nike seems to take like 2-3 years, and then they're kind of a little bit behind the curve. So this shoe, maybe 3 years ago, would have been a great training option, and people would have used it quite a lot. Whereas I don't really think it fills any sort of hole in the market. Nike have always had kind of mediocre training shoes, and this just adds to the list of other mediocre training shoes. And coming in at £155, you've got to be offering something different. You've got the full length carbon plate in there, but does it really feel like it's doing all that much? In my humble opinion, not massively. Even if you wanted to use this shoe for daily miles, I did, as I said, went out and did a long run in the shoe. Just found that it wasn't really protecting my legs, didn't feel comfortable. And even when it came to daily miles, I just feel like Nike have got better options for just daily miles. And do you really want to be doing kind of 10, 12 miles in a carbon plated shoe? Not really. So if you're absolutely hell bent on sticking with Nike when it comes to your daily trainer, I'd say stick with the Invincible 3 in my personal opinion. I think it's a much better shoe. And this to me feels like an Invincible 3 with a carbon plating. A little bit more poppy, but is it doing what it's advertised to do, which is giving you a really good training option for those tempos, those intervals? No, I don't really think it does. So for me, personally, as a previous lover of the original Zoom Flies, the 3, the 4, the 5 have all been very mediocre, and the 6 just adds to that list. I've seen some reviews online and they seem to be really enjoying the Zoom Fly 6. I'm not really in that category. I much prefer the Boston 12, the Takumi Sen 10, the DV8 Nitro 3. There's just so many different options out there nowadays for a really good training shoe, and you can even pick up like proper carbon plated super shoes in a similar sort of price to this nowadays. I think I saw the Adios Pro 3 on ProDirect's website the other day. Unfortunately not in my size, but for £155, so the exact same price as this. If you're putting an Adios Pro 3 against this, it's just not even a competition. So unfortunately for me, I'm going to be sending the Zoom Fly 6 back. It just didn't really do what I wanted it to do. And for £155, I feel like I can spend that so much more wisely when it comes to a good training shoe that does what I wanted to do. So unfortunately, another disappointing shoe to add to Nike's list of disappointing training shoes, unfortunately. Racing shoes, they've obviously got it cracked with the Vaporfly and the Alphafly, but for some reason they just can't crack their training shoes. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Obviously, as I said, not the most eloquent when it comes to running shoe reviews. I just kind of say what I feel, which I guess is essentially what shoe reviews are, but I don't go into super loads of detail, because is it comfortable? Yes, it's comfortable. Is it quick? I don't really think so. Is it worth the money? Probably not. And that's kind of all I'm looking for from shoe reviews myself. But anyway, please like, subscribe, share with your running buddies. Let me know down in the comments if there's any other videos that you'd like to see, or any other shoes you'd like to see me review. I don't really do shoe reviews too often, but it's definitely something I can get into and maybe become a little bit more eloquent at if there's the appetite for it. But anyway, take care. I'll catch you in the next one.